Welcome to the Mr. R Show, brought to you by the Monthly Recurring Revenue Institute. If you're an accounting firm owner or manager seeking harmony between work and life while optimizing profitability, you're in the right place. Our goal? To empower you with the knowledge and tools necessary to enhance both your personal and financial well-being. In every episode, we bring you insights from esteemed individuals in the field who share their valuable expertise and practical steps. Join us on this journey as we collaborate to revolutionize your business and enrich your life.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mr. R Show, brought to you by, or presented by, the Monthly Recurring Revenue Institute. So if you haven't heard of us yet, you're about to hear from Chris, who you can also see here on the screen if you're watching. Chris is the brains behind all this. But what you're going to hear now is really just an intro. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about what you can expect from the Monthly Recurring Revenue Institute, but then also this podcast specifically. So before we jump into that, let's hear from Chris, the man, the myth, the wizard. Chris, how's it going, man?
Oh, I thought you were going to call me a legend, a wizard. You know what, John? As most accountants that are just a touch geeky, I did play some Dungeons and Dragons and some Magic the Gathering cards back in the day.
Hey, well, you must have had some free time because, I've known you for 2.5 decades-ish. You have got more credentials than anybody I've ever met. So not only is Christopher Picchiro, kind of a long name, but you have all these credentials after it, which just makes it longer. So if you don't believe me, look at his LinkedIn profile. You'll see it. I think it wraps on 2 lines. So
well, thanks, John. And when you're on LinkedIn, why don't you follow the MRR Institute LinkedIn page? We'd love to have you. But this project and the MRR Institute as a project, as an entity, and the Mr. R Show is truly a passion project. It's an accumulation of over 20 years of experience operating and owning a CPA practice, private CPA practice, but also being a part of many client lives, helping clients launch their own enterprises, launching our own enterprises, and a lot of failing forward. So we are really excited about the MRR Institute, and really the reason we launched it, I'm going to touch on what our formal mission and vision statements are, and then how that relates to the Mr. R Show. But the genesis behind it is that we simply do not have enough people entering the workforce in the tax and accounting area. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if you say young people, just people entering this industry to service the taxpayers in the United States of America. And so we have a shortage of labor like many other industries. There are a lot of barriers to entry in our business. And unfortunately, we need to make sure that we can teach and coach those tax professionals, especially ones that are high-level managers or owners of their own practice, to be more efficient, to add more value, and to really have great relationships with their clients. So we can more effectively service them and scale our businesses. With that being said, the other challenge we have in our industry, John, is that you typically, if you are talented at preparing tax returns or you're talented at doing accounting, bookkeeping, what happens is you progress to a point where you say, all right, I'd like to have my own practice. I'd like to do this for myself. And you start your own business. And unfortunately, there's a big difference in skill set between being that technical CPA, enrolled agent, certified tax professional, certified QuickBooks bookkeeper, whatever that is for you in the tax and accounting industry, in running an actual practice. So the MRR Institute has been formed to help tax professionals, with our mission statement being empowering tax professionals to a profitable and healthy life balance.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to stop you because I don't want you to give away too much information. We don't have to go too much in the weeds. I know we have some fantastic shows and guests, really, really, really good guests lined up for this. I mean, we obviously work together on the teaching tax flow side as well. Love doing that podcast. This one's a little different. So even if you do listen to this one, please subscribe to it. You'll actually hear this intro one releasing, I believe, the same day as our first one as well. But subscribe to this podcast wherever it is that you consume your podcast. Mark it, favorite it, do whatever you need to do there. But also check out the teaching tax flow one. There's a little overlap. But even cooler than that, Chris, something you did not mention in there, because I know I've been kind of sitting on the sidelines, you guys, that everybody's listening to this for a while, watching as a client and a friend of Chris. I've seen his practice kind of morph in the way that he does things in operations and profitability. And Chris, it was great to see when we were talking about this about a year ago, you were telling me about the idea for the monthly recurring revenue institute, and we were literally drawing it in the sand, kind of hanging out on the beach. So I think that is a great testament to being able to optimize and kind of remove yourself from the day-to-day and the grind and let it run itself, and you're getting that freedom back in everybody's life. So a lot of our podcasts that we're going to do on this show specifically too are going to be, actually, Chris, I'll let you talk about that a little bit. What makes this podcast so special compared to a lot of other ones?
So other than being a labor of love and a passion project, it's going to allow us to bring on special guests that I've worked with in my private accounting practice. Because I've been doing this for such a long time, I am truly blessed to have formed some amazing relationships. I want to spread those relationships out to the accounting and tax community. And as a cherry on top of the podcast, by listening to our normal podcast, you're going to qualify for a free continuing education credit. So you will be able to fulfill more than 50% of your required CPE each year just by listening to this podcast at no cost.
Excellent. Well, thanks for giving us that. Everybody that's, again, listening or watching this, thank you for joining us. Be on the lookout. Lots of great information and resources coming your way. So maybe book that trip with the family next year, because you might have some free time.
So. One final thing, John, the Mr. R show. Mr. R, just so everyone understands, is our guiding light. He is the one that tells us the do's and don'ts and the lessons and all the fail forwards that we've all experienced. Thus, MRR, Mr. R, and he's much more handsome than myself. He's not, he's a little more svelte than the Kool-Aid man, but I think everyone's going to like Mr. R and what he has to say.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Chris, for jumping into that with us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the Mr. R Show, and we look forward to hearing from everybody very soon.